My entire life, I've been on a journey to find love. I've had some amazing experiences, and some not so good. But that hasn't stopped me from believing that true love still exists. Join me as I speak with real-life couples finding their way through life, love, and relationships. This is Real Life Love Stories.
My idea of marriage before I got married was a beautiful union. It was two people that were to be together forever until death do them part. It was also something that required a lot of work between both people.
I would say officially like 2015.
Yeah.
We met each other in 14, at the end of 14, so we like to say 2015. So.
I like to say 14, actually. It sounds better. It's not quite accurate, but it sounds better, so.
The first time I saw her was in a yearbook, UAPB yearbook. A friend of mine at work was telling me about her, and so I went over to a friend's house, and they showed her to me in the yearbook, and she was leaning against a tree. And so we started talking on the telephone. Now she saw me first. She saw me through the peephole. I came up for a date. we had never met. And we went on a blind date. And I showed up at her apartment. She saw me through the peephole and she opened the door.
So we were at this event downtown. It was what was the name of it? Successful Sundays. So I was at Successful Sunday, Ernie Biggs, and I was having fun with my cousin, and he came over and, just started talking to me, and you know me talking about everything. Yeah. So I knew who he was, and he didn't know who I was. So when I saw him, he came up to me, I was like, he started talking, I was like, so aren't you Shell's brother? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, you're my cousin.
My sister.
His sister's name is Shell. I was like, oh, you're my cousin. And he was like, how is that so? And I was like, well, your sister Shell is my cousin because her dad and my mom are sister and brothers. And he was like, no, we're not cousins. Like, that's your cousin. Like, we have different dads. So I was like, oh, okay, whatever. So we went to breakfast that night, and then we were just kind of hit and miss at that point. We were hit and miss. He would text, I would text for maybe 3 months, 2 months.
Well, I mean, that's really not how it really happened. She said, I know you. And I said, you do? She said, you're my cousin. I said, how are you my cousin? I'm trying to talk to you. I'm trying to rap. Like, you my cousin? Yeah, I'm trying to rap. I'm trying to back. Okay. And so she says, well, your sister is Michelle. And I said, yeah, and she said, well, her dad is my uncle. And I said, well, hell, he ain't my dad, so we ain't no kin. we can holler. You ain't my cousin.
She was very mean. Yes. Mean to the T. Yes.
You agree with that?
Yes. It wasn't intentional, but I think my mean was ill. I don't like him. I didn't.
That's really, I think, a fun story because we had been in the same place at the same time multiple times without paying any attention to each other. Matter of fact, we had gone to a party in Atlanta and mentioned me and my girlfriends had gone down and he still lived there. And we were in the same place, like sharing, I hate to say sharing drinks, but literally we were like sharing drinks. Neither one of us thought anything about it. And when I look back, even now, I look at pictures and I'm like, we were cute. Like, why? How come you didn't holler? But he still has stuff going on with his previous relationship, as did I. And so it's really good that we didn't meet at that time. But somewhere down the line, we became friends on social media. I don't know how that happened.
You commented on your best friend's status or something. So then I looked at it and I was like, okay, man, that's Andrea's friend. Let me go send her a friend request. So
she kind of approached me. She had mentioned that she followed me on social media. She thanked me for my service. I think the first thing she asked me was, are you Officer Norman? And I told her I was, and then maybe 2 minutes of a conversation, and we exchanged numbers. So that was the official meet at Walgreens.
Well, I got permission. It was your soror?
It was a sorority.
It was a sorority sister, and I got permission to call her. She gave me the phone number. I saw her call her and say, "Hey, Terry wants your number. It's okay for her to call." So I got the number. So we started talking on the phone. It was about a month we talked on the phone before we actually met.
Well, at the time, I finished nursing school the first time, and I was a new nurse, and I was working night shift. So it was hard to kind of get the conversation started by telephone, because during the day I would sleep and then work at night. And of course, he was on what people would say regular, normal work hours. So we went back and forth for a while, for probably a couple of months before
I made the mistake of calling her in the middle of the day.
I was wondering if you would say that.
And she blasted me out. I mean, like, what are you doing calling me? I'm trying to sleep. Don't you know I work at night? I'm like, please, I didn't know.
Well, you knew.
Well,
but
I wasn't
I
thinking.
guess you forgot.
Yeah.
But that was okay.
But it almost gave me another impression.
A beautiful woman that was in Walgreens, and what is this beautiful woman doing inside Walgreens? What am I doing talking to her? It's just kind of amazing how God brings two people together, and he knows before you do what his plan is, obviously. But just to see someone so vibrant, someone that knew who I was and knew of my work, obviously is flattering to me. And so, that was a good first impression, at least coming from her, that, hey, this woman's aware of kind of where my heart is in the community, and it's something I've lived by for years. And the fact that she was aware of that was good for her for his first.
All the popularity and stuff. So.
Yeah, so anyway, we did breakfast that night, and we kind of texted and talked a little bit, and then we just kind of lost touch. He didn't think that I was interested, because he would always call me on the phone, and I never liked to talk on the phone. I was a texter. So he would call me and I wouldn't answer, but I would text back, so it was just kind of hit and miss then, and so we just let it go. And then I think he had a New Year's Eve party. He had a New Year's Eve party a year later, and I went to the New Year's Eve party, and we kind of talked there, and then we went out. We was at his place at his party, and then we left his place.
It was a Christmas party.
Was it?
It was a Christmas party.
Wrong day.
And yeah, it was a Christmas party, and we met in 2012, February of 2012, and I would text her, and I would call her, and she wouldn't answer the phone, but she would text right back. And so I thought maybe she had a boyfriend, because sometimes you can avoid conversation. You can send a text through text. And so I was like, okay, something's going on. She would text right back like, hey, what's up? But I'm like, I just called. That's what's up. So she would text, and I would text back, but nothing happened for almost a year. I think it was December of that same year, 2012. No, you're right. It was January the 13th, I guess.
No, that's right. Thank you.
So I had a Christmas party in December, and then she came to the Christmas party, but nothing happened. I mean, we kind of hung out that night, and then January the 12th or the 13th, and I don't remember what night it was, but she came to another event. I had another event that next month, and then we just kind of hung out. We went to an after party after we left my event. We went to another nightclub, and we kind of just hung out. And then we just never left each other's side after January 12th. We literally probably spent, I would say probably up until, we literally spent every day together after January 12th. There was a couple of times that I was out of town and couldn't spend the day, but if I wasn't out of town or she wasn't out of town and I wasn't traveling, we literally spent every day together at some point in time. We saw each other every day for a long, long time. Years. Even when we were married, we just spent every day together, so we kind of never left each other's side after that.
It's pretty much towards the end of our high school years and stuff like that, and it actually hit home when she got ready to go off to college. She went to New Orleans. So when she left to go to Xavier, that's when it really hit then. And I think we both established it was more feelings there than it actually, was. So yeah, that's when it hit.
Posted a picture on social media, and he had a hat on. He was at work, and he had a beanie on, whatever. And I told Andrea, I said, "Girl, your homie looking kind of cute with that beanie on." So it became a joke. But then I was on the phone with her again, and they were in the same place. And I was like, "Tell your friend." I said, "What's up?" It was a joke. It was totally
nothing
playful at the time. We got on the phone and exchanged conversation, no phone number or anything. And then he came down for her birthday party. I had thrown her a 26th birthday party, I believe, at my apartment, and he came down and we exchanged numbers for there, and I guess it went from there, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. When they dropped me off and got ready to leave New Orleans, he was in the backseat crying. Him and my brother. And I realized that's not a friend. That's something else. So he traveled. He got on the bus to see me. I would sneak home to see him. My mom and them didn't know I was home.
He had on workout gear, and I knew he didn't work out, so I thought he was trying to stun a little bit at Walgreens. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, I know you don't work out. Why are you in legit workout gear? But he was cute, so I let him get a pass.
Seeing him through the peephole, he was, of course, physical appearances, though that's the only thing that you have to go by at the time. But we'd had a conversation or two on the telephone. But when I saw him, he was wearing a button-down shirt, but he had it unbuttoned, like in Miami Vice or something.
It was a style back in the day.
So he had this very hairy chest, which was a manly thing, and I thought, how attractive, and so I saw his hairy chest before I could even look at the rest of him. So I was impressed just by that. But after he came in and we started to talk, that was actually better than looking at his chest. So
I was with a group of girls that I were friends with, and I told one girl, I said, "Go over there and get that girl and tell her to come over here." And so she did. A friend, Sylvia, I know she's gonna say, "I introduce y'all." She always said that. So Sylvia,
You have to take the credit.
I said, "Sylvia, go get her." And so I was with Sylvia and Jerron, and she came over, and we were just talking, and I was having an event, because I always do parties. So I was having an event in Juanita's, and I invited her over. I said, "Hey, I'd like you to come to my event. I'm gonna put you on the guest list, and I want you. It's Monday night. It's live music. Jerron she's here. She'll be performing, and so that was like my icebreaker to invite her to it. And I never gave a woman. I never asked for a woman number. I always felt like a lot of times you put pressure on a woman when you ask for their number, because they can lie and give you other numbers. But I always, if I liked you, I would give you my number. That way, if you were interested and there's no pressure that you could call. And so I think I gave her my number and said, "Hey, it was like I think it was a Sunday. I was having a deal the next night, and she didn't come. But that whole year, 10 months, 11 months, was like me chasing her. I was calling and we would converse on the phone sometimes, but it felt like a chase. And so I wasn't used to a chase, but things were pretty easy for me.
Isn't that something?
she was the type of lady that I would like to be seen out with. You know, back then I was kind of young and I had my vision of the type of ladies that I like to hang with.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know, professional, you know, conservative like. So yeah, that impressed me.
I mean, it was. I mean, I definitely sound arrogant, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I never really had to chase. So about the first 5 or 6 months, it was cute. But after month 8 and 9, it started to pitch. It's like, you know, what are we doing? And so I think I finally got frustrated, and I said, you know, after 10 months, I said, obviously she ain't feeling me. She's not responding the way I think she needs to respond. So I'm just giving up. And I think I told her, I said, listen, I'm done with this because you're not giving me enough to. I'm all about the chase, but you got to give me something. Like, you got to give me something to keep me. You know, it's like the little thing you bait them, and you got to keep them, kind of keep me coming. And I really thought she was engaged somewhere else, engaged with somebody else, not engaged as far as being married, but it just involved with somebody else, but she just wasn't interested in. And then just when I started to be disengaged with the chase, is, you know, she just kind of came around. You know, she texted me and said, hey, let's hang out. And I'm like, well, hell, I've been calling and texting for almost a year now. And so just when I started to take the full court press off, is when it kind of happened. She kind of got engaged and started conversing with me.
Well, let me say it this way. I didn't say it, but I wrote it, kind of outlined it on his back. And I asked him, do you know what this is? So as I wrote out the letters on his back, he said them out loud, and he said, yeah, I love you too.
I don't remember that. You got a good memory.
Women remember these things.
I think that's why it works. And cut.
You're watching Real Life Love Stories.